Today we're covering the punishment and transgression of the world. Mighty God AHAYAH has come out of his place to punish the world for its transgression. We're going to cover several scriptures of the King James Version Bible that talks about the punishment and transgression of Judah and Israel, which followed after the heathen and idol worshippers. So let's get into the King James Version Bible, starting off with Isaiah 13:11. And I, AHAYAH, will punish the world for their evil, and the wicked for their iniquity. And I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and I will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. Behold, I send an angel before thee, to keep thee in the way, and to bring thee into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. But if thou shalt indeed obey his voice, and do all that I speak, then I will be an enemy unto thine enemies, and an adversary unto thine adversaries. And if a man smite his servant or his maid with a rod, and he die under his hand, he shall be surely punished. If a man strive and hurt a woman with child, so that her fruit depart from her, and yet no mischief follow, he shall be surely punished, according as the woman's husband will lay upon him, and he shall pay as the judges determine. If there be found among you within any of thy gates, which mighty God AHAYAH giveth thee, man or woman that had wrought wickedness in the sight of AHAYAH thy mighty God, in transgressing his covenant, and had gone and served other gods, and worshipped them, either the sun or moon, or any of the host of heaven, which I have not commanded, and it be told thee, and thou hast heard of it, and inquired diligently, and behold, it be true, and the thing certain, that such abomination is wrought in Israel, then shalt thou bring forth that man or that woman which have committed that wicked thing unto thy gates, even that man or that woman, and shall stone them with stones till they die. When you have transgressed the covenant of AHAYAH your mighty God, which he commanded you, and have gone and served other gods, and bowed yourself to them, then shall the anger of AHAYAH your mighty God be kindled against you, and you shall perish quickly from off the good land which he had given unto you. Be you afraid of the sword, for wrath bringeth the punishments of the sword. Is not destruction to the wicked, and a strange punishment to the workers of iniquity? AHAYAH thy mighty God is longsuffering, and of great mercy, forgiving iniquity and transgression, and by no means clearing the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children into the third and fourth generations. Let the high praises of AHAYAH mighty God be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand, to execute vengeance upon the heathen, and punishments upon the people, to bind their kings with chains, and their nobles with fetters of iron, to execute upon them the punishment written thereof. Remember not the sins of my youth, AHAYAH, nor my transgressions, according to thy mercy. Remember thou me for thy goodness' sake, AHAYAH, I pray thee. Blessed is he whose transgression is forgiven, whose sin is covered. I acknowledge my sin unto thee, AHAYAH, and my iniquity have I not hid. I said, I will confess my transgressions unto AHAYAH thy mighty God, and thou forgavest the iniquity of my sin, Selah. When the scorner is punished, the simple is made wise, and when the wise is instructed, he receiveth knowledge. But the transgressors shall be destroyed together, the end of the wicked shall be cut off. Also, to punish the just is not good, nor to strike princes for equity. Thou therefore, O AHAYAH, our mighty God, the mighty God of hosts, the mighty God of Israel, awake, to visit all the heathen. Be not merciful to any wicked transgressors, Selah. His seed also will I make to endure forever, and his throne as the days of heaven, those that which take it in place mighty God as this mighty God. If he If his children forsake my law and walk not in my judgments, if they break my statutes and keep not my commandments, then will I visit their transgression with the rod, and their iniquity with stripes. Nevertheless, my loving kindness will I not utterly take from him, nor suffer my fruitfulness to fail. But the wicked shall be cut off from the earth, and the transgressor shall be rooted out of it. The integrity of the upright shall guide them, but the perverseness of transgressors shall destroy them. The righteousness of the upright shall deliver them, but transgressors shall be taken in their own naughtiness. The wicked is snared by the transgression of his lips, but the just shall come out of trouble. A man shall eat good by the fruit of his mouth, but the soul of the transgressors shall eat violence. Good understanding giveth favor, but the way of transgressors is hard. A divine sentence is in the lips of the king, his mouth transgresseth not in judgment. He that covered a transgressor seeketh love, but he that repeated a matter separated very friends. He loveth transgression that loveth strife, and he that exalted his gate seeketh destruction. A man of great wrath shall suffer punishment, for if thou deliver him, yet thou must do it again. The wicked shall be a ransom for the righteous, and the transgressor for the upright. A prudent man foreseeth the evil, and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. The eyes of AHAYAH mighty God preserveth knowledge, and he overthroweth the words of the transgressor. Excuse my puppies. The great and mighty God AHAYAH that formed all things both rewarded the fool and rewarded the transgressors. A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. To have respect of persons is not good, for a piece of bread that man will transgress. Whoso robbeth his father or his mother, and said it is no transgression, the same is the companion of a destroyer. In the transgression of an evil man there is a snare, but the righteous doth sing and rejoice. When the wicked are multiplied, transgression increaseth, but the righteous shall see their fall. An angry man stirred up strife, and a furious man abounded in transgression. And the destruction of the transgressor and of the sinner shall be together, and they that forsake mighty God AHAYAH shall be consumed. The earth mourneth and faded away, the world languisheth and faded away. The haughty people of the earth do languish. The earth also is defied under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant. Therefore hath a curse devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men left. Shall I not, as I have done unto Samaria and her idols, so do to Jerusalem and her idols? Wherefore it shall come to pass that when AHAYAH mighty God had performed his whole work upon Mount Zion, who is Judah, and on Jerusalem, who is Israel, I will punish the fruit of the stout heart of the king of Assyria, and the glory of his high looks. For he said it, by the strength of my hand I have done it, and by my wisdom, for I am prudent. And I have removed the bonds of the people, and have robbed their treasures. And I have put down the inhabitants like a valiant man. The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall be removed like a cottage, and the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall, and not rise again. And it shall come to pass that in that day that mighty God AHAYAH, thy mighty God, shall punish the host of the high ones that are on high, and the kings of the earth upon the earth, and they shall be gathered together as prisoners are gathered in the pit of hell, and shall be shut up in the prison, and after many days shall they be visited. For behold, AHAYAH thy mighty God cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. The earth also shall disclose her blood, and shall no more cover her slain. In that day AHAYAH mighty God with his sore and great and strong sword shall punish Leviathan, the piercing serpent, even Leviathan that crooked serpent, and he shall slay the dragon that is in the sea. Against whom do you sport yourselves? Against whom make you a wide mouth, and draw out the tongue? Are you not children of transgression, a seed of falsehood and evildoers? Behold, the days come, said AHAYAH mighty God, that I will punish all them which are circumcised with the uncircumcised. Because in transgressing and lying against AHAYAH thy mighty God, and departing away from our mighty God, speaking oppression and revolt, conceiving and uttering from the heart words of falsehood. And judgment is turned away backward, and justice standeth afar off. For truth is fallen in the street, and equity cannot enter. Truth faileth, and he that departed from evil maketh himself a prey. And AHAYAH thy mighty God saw it, and it displeased him that there was no judgment. According to their deeds, accordingly he will repay, fury to his adversaries, recompense to his enemies. To the islands he will repay recompense. So shall they fear the name of AHAYAH mighty God, from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the spirit of AHAYAH our mighty God shall lift up a standard against him. And the Redeemer shall come to Zion, which is Judah, and unto them that turn from transgression in Jacob, said AHAYAH mighty God. As for me, this is my covenant with them, said AHAYAH. My spirit that is upon thee, and my words which I have put in thy mouth, shall not depart out of thy mouth, nor out of the mouth of thy seed, nor out of the mouth of thy seed's seed, said AHAYAH mighty God, from henceforth and forever. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, said AHAYAH mighty God. And they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of the men that have transgressed against me, for their worm shall not die, neither shall their fire be quenched, and they shall be an abhorring unto all flesh. Therefore, thus says AHAYAH mighty God of the men of Anathoth, that seek thy life, saying, Prophesy not in the name of AHAYAH, that thou die not by our hand. Therefore, thus said AHAYAH mighty God of hosts, Behold, I will punish them. The young men shall die by the sword, their sons and their daughters shall die by famine, and there shall be no remnant of them. For I will bring evil upon the men of Anathoth, even the year of their visitation. I will punish you according to the fruit of your doings, said AHAYAH mighty God, and I will kindle a fire in the forest thereof, and it shall devour all things round about it. The priest said not, Where is AHAYAH mighty God? And they that handle the law knew me not. The pastors also transgressed against me, and the prophets prophesied by Baal, and walked after things that do not profit. For of old time I have broken thy yoke, and burst thy bands, and thou said, I will not transgress, when upon every high hill and under every green tree thou wanderest playing the harlot. Wherefore will you plead with me? You all have transgressed against me, said AHAYAH mighty God. And as for the prophet and the priest and the people that shall say, The burden of AHAYAH, I will even punish that man and his house. Only acknowledge thine iniquity, that thou hast transgressed against AHAYAH thy mighty God, and hast scattered thy ways to the strangers under every green tree, and you have not obeyed my voice, said AHAYAH mighty God. And if the prophet be deceived when he had spoken a thing, I, AHAYAH thy mighty God, have deceived that prophet, and I will stretch out my hand upon him, and will destroy him from the midst of my people Israel. And they shall bear the punishment of their iniquity, The punishment of the prophet shall be even as the punishment of him that seeketh unto him, that the house of Israel may go no more astray from me, neither be polluted any more with all their transgressions, but that they may be my people, and I may be their God, their mighty God, says AHAYAH mighty God. And there shall be like people, like priests, and I will punish them for their ways and reward them their doings. I, thy mighty God, had also a controversy with Judah, and will punish Jacob according to his ways. According to his doings will he recompense him. Therefore, thus says AHAYAH mighty God, you have not hearkened unto me in proclaiming liberty, freedom, every one to his brother, and every man to his neighbor. Behold, I proclaim a liberty for you, said AHAYAH mighty God, to the sword, to the pestilence, and to the famine, and I will make you to be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. And I will give the men that have transgressed my covenant, which have not performed the words of the covenant which they had made before me, when they cut the calf in twain and passed between the parts thereof. Transgression. And he said unto me, Son of man, I send thee to the children of Israel, to a rebellious nation that had rebelled against me. They and their fathers have transgressed against me, even unto this very day. But if the wicked will turn from all his sins that he had committed, and keep all my statutes, and do that which is lawful and right, he shall surely live, he shall not die. All his transgressions that he had committed, they shall not be mentioned unto him. In his righteousness that he had done, he shall live. Have I any pleasure at all that the wicked should die, said AHAYAH mighty God, and not that he should return from his ways and live? But when the righteous turneth away from his righteousness, and committed iniquity, and doeth according to all the abominations that the wicked man doeth, shall he live? All his righteousness that he hath done shall not be mentioned. In his trespass that he had trespassed, and in his sin that he had sinned, in them shall he die. Yet, you say, the way of AHAYAH is not equal. Hear now, O house of Israel, is not my way equal, or not your ways unequal? When a righteous man turneth away from his righteousness, and committed iniquity, and died in them, for his iniquity that he had done shall he die. Again, when the wicked man turneth away from his wickedness that he had committed, and did that which is lawful and right, he shall save his soul alive, because he considered and turned away from all his transgressions that he had committed. He shall surely live, he shall not die. Yet, said the house of Israel, the way of AHAYAH mighty God is not equal. O house of Israel, are not my ways equal, or not your ways unequal? Therefore, I will judge you, O house of Israel, every one according to his ways, said AHAYAH mighty God. Repent, and turn yourselves from all your transgressions, so iniquity shall not be your ruin. Cast away from you all your transgressions, whereby you have transgressed, and make you a new heart and a new spirit. For why will you die, O house of Israel? For I have no pleasure in the death of him that dieth, said AHAYAH mighty God. Wherefore, turn yourselves and live you. We have transgressed and have rebelled, thou hast not pardoned. And I will cause you to pass under the rod, and I will bring you into the bond of the covenant, and I will purge out from among you the rebels, and them that transgressed against me. I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn, and they shall not enter into the land of Israel. And you shall know that I am AHAYAH thy mighty God. Therefore, thou son of man, say unto the children of thy people, the righteousness of the righteous shall not deliver him in the day of his transgression. As for the wickedness of the wicked, he shall not fall thereby in the day that he turneth from his wickedness. Neither shall the righteous be able to live for his righteousness in the day that he sinneth. Woe unto them! For they have fled from me, destruction unto them, because they have transgressed against me. Though I have redeemed them, yet they have spoken lies against me, says AHAYAH. Who is wise, and he shall understand these things? Prudent, and he shall know them. For the ways of AHAYAH Mighty God are right, and the just shall walk in them, but the transgressor shall fall therein. Thus says AHAYAH Mighty God, for 3 transgressions of Damascus, and for 4 I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they have threshed Gilead with threshing instruments of iron. Thus says AHAYAH Mighty God, for 3 transgressions of Gaza, and for 4 I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they carried away captive. Thus says AHAYAH Mighty God, for 3 transgressions of Tyrus, and for 4 I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they delivered up the whole captivity to Edom, and remembered not the brotherly covenant. Excuse my puppy. Thus says AHAYAH Mighty God, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4 I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he did pursue his brother with the sword, and did cast off all pity, and his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever. Excuse my puppies. Thus says AHAYAH Mighty God, for 3 transgressions of the children of Ammon, and for 4 I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they have ripped up the women with child of Gilead, that they might enlarge their border. Thus says AHAYAH Mighty God, for 3 transgressions of Moab, and for 4 I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he burned the bones of the king of Edom into lime. Thus says AHAYAH Mighty God, for 3 transgressions of Judah, and for 4 I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they have despised the law of Mighty God AHAYAH, and have not kept the commandments, and their lies caused them to err, after the which their fathers have walked. Thus says AHAYAH Mighty God, for 3 transgressions of Israel, and for 4 I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they sold the righteous for silver, and the poor for a pair of shoes. You only have I known of all the families of the earth, therefore I will punish you for all your iniquities. For I know your manifold transgressions, and your mighty sins. They afflict the just, they take a bribe, and they turn aside the poor in the gate from their right. Hold thy peace at the presence of AHAYAH thy mighty God, for the day of AHAYAH is at hand. For AHAYAH had prepared a sacrifice, he had bid his guest. And it shall come to pass in the day of AHAYAH's sacrifice, that I will punish the princes and the king's children, and all such as are clothed with strange apparel. In the same day also will I punish all those that leap on the threshold, which fill their masters' houses with violence and deceit. And it shall come to pass that in that day, says AHAYAH thy mighty God, that there shall be the noise of a cry from the fish gate, and an howling from the second, and a great crashing from the hills. Howl ye, inhabitants of Miktesh, for all the merchant people are cut down, all they that bear silver are cut off. And it shall come to pass at that time that I will search Jerusalem with candles, and punish the men that are settled on their lees, that say in their heart, AHAYAH Mighty God will not do good, neither will he do evil. Therefore their goods shall become a booty, and their houses a desolation. They shall also build houses, but not inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards, but not drink the wine thereof. I said, surely thou wilt fear me, thou wilt receive instruction, so their dwelling should not be cut off. Howsoever I punished them, but they rose early and corrupted all their doings. Mine anger was kindled against the shepherds, and I punished the goats. For AHAYAH Mighty God of hosts had visited his flock, the house of Judah, and had made them as his goodly horse in the battle. Then shall they also answer him, saying, Master, when saw we thee an hungered, or athirst, or a stranger, or naked, or sick, or in prison, and did not minister unto thee? Then shall he answer them, saying, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as you did it not to one of the least of these, you did it not to me. And these shall go away into everlasting punishment, but the righteous into life eternal. And to you who are troubled, rest with us, when King Yeshua the Messiah shall be revealed from heaven with his mighty angels, in flaming fire, taking vengeance on them that know not mighty God AHAYAH, and that obey not the gospel of our King Yeshua the Messiah, who shall be punished with everlasting destruction from the presence of mighty God AHAYAH, and from the glory of his power, when he shall come to be glorified in his saints, and to be admired in all them that believe, because our testimony among you was believed in that day. AHAYAH, our mighty God, know how to deliver the godly out of all of their temptations, and to reserve the unjust as to the day of judgment to be punished. Remember these, O Jacob and Israel, for thou art my servant. I have formed thee. Thou art my servant, O Israel. Thou shalt not be forgotten of me. I have blotted out as a thick cloud thy transgressions, and as a cloud thy sins. Return unto me, for I have redeemed thee. And I will cleanse them from all their iniquity, whereby they have sinned against me. And I will pardon all their iniquities, whereby they have sinned, and whereby they have transgressed against me. That the house of Israel may go no more astray from me, neither be polluted any more with all their transgressions, but that they may be my people, and I may be their mighty God, said AHAYAH El Elohi. Neither shall they defile themselves any more with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions. But I will save them out of all their dwelling places, wherein they have sinned, and I will cleanse them, so shall they be my people, and I will be their mighty God. And that's the end of the punishment and transgressions of Judah and Israel and the heathen. Thank you for listening.